The Supreme Court has been mired in controversy this entire term. There have been allegations of corruption and condescension from these justices like we never seen before. These guys think they're above the law. And after a series of terrible decisions released by this court, culminating with the presidential immunity ruling in favor of Donald Trump, Democrats have said enough is enough. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio Cortez has vowed to take major action when Congress returns from their break next week. This is a huge escalation. I'll tell you all about it coming right up. On their final day in session, the Supreme Court decided to drop a bomb on the American people. They issued a ruling saying that a president cannot be held criminally liable for official acts conducted as president. It'll now be up to the lower courts to determine what of Donald Trump's federal 2020 election fraud case are official acts and unofficial acts. Now, all that's going to do is delay the trial. It'll happen eventually. But if Donald Trump gets into the White House, he can order his DOJ to dismiss those charges against him. So time is of the essence. That being said, it was the dissents from the liberal justices that really shined a light on just how disastrous this ruling is. Let's take a look at a few excerpts from Justice Sotomayor's dissent. Kyle Griffin is an executive producer at MSNBC, and he tweeted out this excerpt from Sotomayor's dissent. When the president uses his official powers in any way, under the majority's reasoning, he now will be insulated from criminal prosecution. Orders the Navy SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? Immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power? Immune. Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon? Immune, 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 immune. Let the president violate the law. Let him exploit the trappings of his office for personal gain. Let him use his official power for evil ends. Because if he knew that he may one day face liability for breaking the law, he might not be as bold and fearless as we would like him to be. That is the majority's message today. Even if these nightmare scenarios never play out, and I pray they never do, the damage has been done. The relationship between the president and the people he serves has shifted irrevocably. In every use of official power, the president is now a king above the law. The president is now a king above the law. These are alarming words coming from a justice of the Supreme Court. And to conclude her dissent, Sotomayor said the following: "Never in the history of our republic has a president had reason to believe that he would be immune from criminal prosecution if he used the trappings of his office to violate the criminal law. Moving forward, however, all former presidents will be cloaked in such immunity. If the occupant of that office misuses official power for personal gain, the criminal law that the rest of us must abide will not provide a backstop. With fear for our democracy, I dissent." With fear for our democracy, I dissent. Those are chilling words from Justice Sotomayor. And for all of this to come out on the week of July 4th, when we declared our independence from a monarchy, wild stuff from the Supreme Court. And now Democrats in Congress have seen enough, and they are ready to take bold action. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio Cortez announced on her Twitter what the plan is, and this is something that hasn't been done in over 200 years. AOC tweeted out the following message to her 13 million followers. "The Supreme Court has become consumed by a corruption crisis beyond its control. Today's ruling represents an assault on American democracy. It is up to Congress to defend our nation from this authoritarian capture. I intend on filing articles of impeachment upon our return." So what justice or justices would she file articles of impeachment for? And what would the charges exactly be? Nobody knows right now. But this is a hell of an escalation by AOC. And even just the threat of impeachment against Supreme Court justices can cause them to take action. It only takes a majority of the House to pass an article of impeachment. And then it goes to the Senate, where a trial is held, and you need 67 votes to convict and remove a justice of the Supreme Court. Let's not kid ourselves. That is a high bar. But if Democrats take the House back in November and take over in January, they could technically move forward on an article of impeachment, and I'm willing to bet they have the votes to actually impeach a justice of the Supreme Court. And just the threat of having that on someone's resume could cause a Supreme Court justice to take a step back and rethink their behavior. But if they were impeached, it would go to the Senate, and it would be a really high bar to climb over to convict a Supreme Court justice and remove them from office. In fact, there's only been one Supreme Court justice that has even been impeached, a guy named Samuel Chase that was nominated by none other than our founding father, George Washington. He was acquitted in the Senate, but impeaching him caused 100 years of change in the Supreme Court. So this is a major escalation by AOC. Congress is on their July 4th recess right now. We'll have to wait till they come back next week to see what the details are of her articles of impeachment. But AOC is no Marjorie Taylor Greene, where she has a thinly veiled threat that she has no plans on executing. AOC has moved up in the rankings behind the scenes in the House. She's now the #2 Democrat on the Oversight Committee. So this is not just a threat. I guarantee AOC takes action. And of course, the Republicans will not take up her articles of impeachment against whatever justice she brings it forward for, but she can bring it up as a privileged motion and force a vote at the very least to show the American people where everybody is at on this. And of course, the Democrats can bring it up when they take over Congress, hopefully in January of next year. So this is a wild turn of events right here. This is the kind of spine and backbone that people are demanding from the Democrats. And I'm excited to see the details when the articles of impeachment are released.